guys, welcome to my channel and to my look ahead at the 2019 US Open. So the draws are out, play officially starts tomorrow, and I don't know about you, but I am pretty darn excited. Um, I'm actually from New York, and I've probably been going to the Open as a fan for the last 25 years. I even got a chance to work at the Open last year, which was an amazing experience. So as much as I love following all the different tournaments and slams, the U.S. Open definitely has a special place in my heart. So I'm pretty psyched. Anyway, rather than get into predictions for how things are going to play out, I just wanted to set the stage for the top seeds on the men's and women's side, talk about who's in whose quarters and what that could potentially mean. So, starting with the men, we have our first seed, Novak Djokovic, and he is in the same quarter as Daniil Medvedev. And that could be interesting because in their last matchup, Medvedev did beat Djokovic. So, Djokovic is not indestructible, and Medvedev could definitely give him problems. Um, Going to the number two seed, Rafa Nadal. He is in the same quarter as Alexander Zverev. Roger Federer is your number three seed, and he is in the same quarter as Kei Nishikori. And then Dominic Thiem, he's seeded number four, and he potentially would be facing Stefanos Tsitsipas. So now I just wanted to get into what I thought were some pretty interesting first round matches that we're going to see either today or tomorrow on the men's side. So if we go over to the draw, these were mostly in the bottom half. It starts with Tsitsipas, who is seeded number eight, and he's actually going to be playing Andrei Rublev. And Rublev is an incredibly dangerous player who's been having some amazing success lately. Um, and I think the only reason that Rublev is not ranked higher than he is and isn't potentially seeded is because he was out with injuries for a while. So he's been taking the last year to really sort of get back in form and build up his points. But just sort of going over to his profile, just as a reminder, he's had a pretty amazing last few months. He made it to the quarters of Winston-Salem. He made it to the quarters of Cincinnati, where he beat Wawrinka and Federer back to back. Um, and then he made it to the finals of Hamburg, where he lost a really close three-setter to Basilashvili. So I would say there's a potential upset alert there um, when we see Tsitsipas versus Rublev. Um, Looking down, we have Nick Kyrgios, who is a very, very polarizing player. Some people love him, some people hate him. Some people say he's great for the sport. Some people say he's horrible for the sport. But he's going to be playing Steve Johnson, who unfortunately had a pretty devastating loss recently. I think it was in the semis of Winston-Salem. He was playing Benoit Paire, won the first set easily 6-1, and then something happened. He lost the next two sets love and love. So I think he's probably in a little bit of a fragile state. He's probably exhausted from all that tennis, and Kyrgios being Kyrgios, I think could probably definitely get under his skin. Um, and then I think the first round match that everyone's talking most about, it's a repeat of last year's first round match between two Canadians and friends, Denis Shapovalov and Felix Auger-Aliassime. Now the interesting thing, and I actually remember because I was working the grandstand last year and I got to watch some of this match. Um, that match was very hyped again because it was two Canadians, two up and comers, two friends, and unfortunately, Auger-Aliassime had to retire. He actually has, I think it's like a congenital heart problem, and he has like an abnormal heart rhythm, which has since been addressed, and I think possibly he had surgery, but it was just wasn't allowing him to play. So Shapovalov basically won because Aliassime had to retire. But a year later, things are quite different. Aliassime is now in the top 20, and Shapovalov, who last year was seeded, he's out of the top 20, presumably out of the top 30 because he doesn't have a seed. So it should be an interesting match. Shapovalov has not had the greatest year, and Aliassime has kind of been the golden boy who everyone's looking to. So that should be definitely an interesting match. Um, so going back to our top players and to the women, um, we have first our number one seed, Naomi Osaka, who can forget she's last year's U.S. Open winner. She will be in the same quarter as the number seven seed, Kiki Bertens. Then we have our French Open winner from this year, Ashley Barty, and she potentially could face Serena Williams in the quarterfinals. Then we have Karolina Pliskova. She's in the same quarter as Svitolina. And then finally we have Simona Halep, um, who would be in the same quarter as um, Kvitova, yes. Petra Kvitova of the Czech Republic. Um, so if we go over to the draws for the women, there are also some pretty intriguing matches going on. The first one that I noticed is this matchup between two fellow Belarusians, Arina Sabalenka and Victoria Azarenka. Of course, Azarenka, she's a multi Grand Slam winner. Obviously, the last few years have not been as great for her. She's been injured, she's had some personal issues, but she's coming back. And then there's Arina Sabalenka, who, while she hasn't had the best year, she's still seeded nine and is definitely an exciting up and comer. Uh, these two obviously know each other. They play on the same Fed Cup team together. Um, call it a funny coincidence. Maybe it's not a coincidence. Who knows? Draws are supposed to be random. But you often see little sort of unusual things like this, which make you wonder sometimes if they're truly random. Um, and then the match that probably everyone was talking about from the very first second it was announced. It's down here somewhere. It's Serena Williams facing Maria Sharapova. And obviously, that is a rivalry that is storied with a lot of history, maybe some bad blood. Um, Maria herself said, I really can't call it a rivalry because I haven't beaten Serena in over 15 years. But nevertheless, there's a lot of interesting backstory there, a whole narrative. Um, as you may remember, these two were supposed to play at the French Open last year in the fourth round, and Serena decided to pull out. She said she had an injury, but maybe Serena wasn't feeling like she was at the top of her game and just didn't want to lose to Sharapova when she couldn't give it her all. So now we have both of them, presumably both healthy, um, and that should be a really interesting first round match, which happens tomorrow night. It's, I think, the first match of the evening session, and that's going to be followed by Federer, who's playing a qualifier from India. So that's all for now, guys. I just wanted to give you a little taste of what's to expect. I'm going to be doing these videos pretty much every day and just sort of looking forward at the matchups and the interesting stories that happen that day. As always, please subscribe so you can get notifications when I create more videos. If you liked what you saw, please give a thumbs up. And definitely weigh in if there's certain things you'd like to hear about, certain players you want to talk about, certain storylines you'd like to get into. Definitely comment below. All right, guys, until tomorrow, have a good one.